Hey guys, welcome to this tutorial on AWS. In this tutorial, we will be discussing about AWS and the various services that are there under AWS, like EC2, S3, VPC, and so on. Now, before understanding what is AWS, you will need to understand what is cloud computing. So, in this particular recording, we are going to see what is cloud computing, and then we will be looking at your AWS concepts. Alright, so let's get started. Now, cloud computing is nothing but it's a platform that you can use to host your services. Now, your services can be a database, your network, your servers, so anything. Now, cloud is a virtualization concept. That means all these services like your servers, your application, your storage, your database, everything will be present in cloud. That is basically a physical location in some other location, and you being the end user, you can access this from any other location. For this, all you will be needing is a system and internet connection. And like I said, you can virtualize anything by using these cloud computing services. It can be your database, it can be your networking, it can be your servers, it can be your applications. Everything can be virtualized. Now, what is cloud computing? Now, cloud computing is a platform that allows or provides you on demand services. Now, when I say on demand, whenever you need, you can request for those services. So, cloud computing is the on demand delivery of compute power, database storage, applications, and other IT services through a cloud service platform via the internet with pay as you go pricing. Now, if any cloud computing services you take, all of this follows a pay as you go pricing model. Now, what this means is you're only going to pay for what you're going to use. There is no investment involved in cloud computing. You're only going to pay for what you're going to use. So there is an on-demand. So cloud computing is an on-demand platform where you can request for services like compute, your storage, your database, applications, and all other services via the internet. So, like I said, you just need a system and internet connection, and you can start working with this cloud computing services. Now, what are the characteristics of cloud computing? Now, cloud computing first, it is a on-demand self-service. So it's a self-service, so everything is readily available. You just go and take what you need and when you need. There is no human interaction involved here. Everything is automated. It could be a server, your network storage. Everything is automated without any requirement for human interaction. Then you have your broad network access. Now, broad network access means you can access this cloud computing from any devices. It is not restricted to a particular platform. You can access this from a mobile phone, from tablets, from laptops, from any workstations. It could be anything. Then you have resource pooling. Now, resource pooling means multiple consumers or multiple customers can request for resources at the same time. Okay, so the provider's computing resources are pooled to serve multiple consumers using a multi-tenant model with different physical and virtual resources dynamically assigned and reassigned according to consumer demand. So maybe I am using a server right now, so that particular server will be assigned to me. Now, once I'm done using that particular server, I will release it, meaning I'll destroy that, and those resources can be assigned to some other consumers or users. So that is my resource pool. Then I have rapid elasticity. Now with your cloud computing, everything is automated, so you can increase and decrease at any point of time automatically. Depending on your requirement, depending on the demand, you can increase your services. For example, today if I need only 5 servers, I can go ahead and launch only 5 servers. And tomorrow if I need 10 servers, I can go and increase the number to 10 servers, and there will not be any problem. I can easily go and increase the resources as per my demand. Then you have measured service. So cloud systems will automatically control the usage or the level of abstraction depending on the account. Now resources can be monitored. You can see what you are using, how much you are using. You can put a restriction of how much can be used, so that you do not end up paying a huge amount. So all these things, all these are the different characteristics of your cloud computing. Next, you have the different cloud computing service models. So whenever you decide that okay, I want to start cloud computing, then you need to choose between three service models that you have in cloud computing. Now the three cloud computing models are infrastructure as a service, also known as IaaS, platform as a service, also known as PaaS, and software as a service, also known as SaaS. Now, the infrastructure as a service is basically everything. It contains your infrastructure, your servers, your storage, your networking, your database, everything. So, infrastructure as a service, sometimes abbreviated as IaaS, contains the basic building blocks for cloud IT and typically provide access to networking features, computers, and data storage space. So, basically, it will include everything. So, when I want to start a company or anything, then I will need different components. Like I would need a data center, database, storage, machines, networking. So all these things will be required. So in that case, I can go with this infrastructure as a service model. Then I have this platform as a service. Now the platform as a service helps the organization to remove the management of the underlying infrastructure, and it allows you to focus on the deployment and management of your applications. Now this platform as a service, what happens is you can get platforms on which you can start running your applications. By doing that, you can remove the need to manage those platforms, because the platforms will be managed by the service providers who are going to provide those platforms for you. That way you can concentrate more on your application rather than concentrating on the platform. And then finally you have the software as a service. Now the software as a service is the actually the most common one that many people use. Software as a service refers to different softwares that you need to do your day-to-day task. So software as a service provides you with a completed product that is run and managed by a service provider. For example, your Windows operating system is a software as a service. Now it's a completed product and you can start running it once you purchase a license from Microsoft. So in most cases, people referring to software as a service are referring to end user applications. So your end user applications, basically, which your end users can start using, could be your Microsoft operating systems, your Microsoft Office, Outlook. Any product that you're using to do your day-to-day task in your organization is a software as a service. Now once you're done deciding what type of service model you want, then you will need to decide on the implementation model for your cloud. So under the implementation model, you can have three types. You have private clouds, public clouds, and hybrid clouds. Now under private clouds, you will be choosing all your applications to be private, so that people from outside your network will not be able to access those applications. Typically, your private cloud includes your database applications, where you do not want anybody outside your network to access the database. So the cloud infrastructure is provision for exclusive use by a single organization comprising of multiple consumers. It may be owned, managed, and operated by the organization, a third party, or some combination of them. And it may exist on or off premise. An example I can tell you is, let's say you're working in a company, so that company will have internal applications. Now, those internal applications, only the employees or people who are part of that organization can access those applications. People who are not part of the organizations will not be able to access those applications. So these applications typically you can choose to run on a private cloud where you are privatizing the use of the applications. Then you have public clouds. Now, public clouds are generally used for applications that you want everybody to access. It could be an application, it could be a service, it could be anything. So, the cloud infrastructure is provision for open use by the general public. It may be owned, managed, and operated by a business, academic, or government organization, or some combination of them. Now, for in case of public cloud, it could be your organization website or your company website that anybody can go and have a look at. So these kind of applications generally run in public cloud that anybody can access. And then you have the hybrid cloud. The hybrid cloud is a combination of both your public cloud as well as your private cloud. In your hybrid cloud, few of your applications will be running on private cloud, and few of your applications will be running in the public cloud. One basic example is your front end running in a public cloud, and your back end, which is your database, running in the private cloud. So this kind of combination uses your hybrid cloud, which includes both your public cloud as well as your private cloud. Then, what are the advantages of cloud computing? Why cloud computing has become so famous nowadays? It is mainly because of your cost and the time taken to work with your cloud services. So, trade capital expense for variable expense. So, here, whenever you're working with your cloud computing, you don't have to make any investment, or you don't have to invest in any hardware or anything. Everything is virtualized, so it follows your pay as you go model. So what you are going to use, that is what you are going to pay. So instead of having to invest heavily in hardwares like your data centers or servers, you can only pay for what you are going to use, or what your consumers are going to use, what resources your consumers are going to utilize. You can only pay for that. That way you don't have to pay a lot of money and end up not using those services within your organization. Then you have benefit from massive economies of scale. Now, the other advantage is that if you are going to use a lot of services by using any cloud service providers, you can pay very little amount when compared to investing in your hardware. So by using cloud computing, you can achieve a lower variable cost than you can get on your own. Now, because usage from hundreds of thousands of customers are aggregated in the cloud, providers such as Amazon Web Services can achieve higher economies of scale, which translates into lower pay as you go prices. Now, stop guessing capacity. Now, under stop guessing capacity, now whenever you decide to start a company, you always do an analysis of what you need and how much you need to work with your end users or with your clients. Now, with your cloud service providers, you don't have to do that. You don't have to guess how many servers you need, how much of storage you need, how much of database you need. You can take what you need. For example, today you might have 100 clients. For those 100 clients, you might need only, let's say, 10 servers. So you can have 10 servers today, and maybe after another week, if you get another 100 clients, you can increase the capacity. That is where you have the rapid elasticity feature in cloud. You can increase and decrease the resources at any point of time. So there's no guessing capacity involved in cloud computing. Then you have increased speed and agility. Now, Since everything is automated, everything is all you have to do is click and follow the steps to get your resources that are readily available. There's no wait time involved here. You don't have to wait for anybody to approve the resources for you. There's no human interaction involved here. All the resources are readily available, and you just have to go and take what you need, and the resources will be available just in minutes. Then stop spending money on running and maintaining data centers. Now, since everything is going to be running on cloud, the vendors will be responsible for managing the data centers for you. You don't have to invest any money on running the data centers or maintaining the data centers. It will be the responsible of the vendors. This way you will end up saving more money that you might be spending if you're going to have your own data center. So that way you can focus only on your applications rather than focusing on your security of your data centers, maintenance of your data centers, and so on. Then you have go global in minutes. Now, since everything is readily available, you can very quickly make your application available to the public, that is basically in minutes. So easily deploy your application in multiple regions around the world with just a few clicks. This means you can provide a lower latency and a better experience for your customers simply and at minimal cost. So these are some of the advantages that you have in cloud computing. Now you have advantages, at the same time you have few concerns. Anything you take, you will have advantage as well as a disadvantage. Similarly, in cloud computing also you have some advantages as well as some disadvantages. Someone else is looking after your data. Since you are going to use a cloud vendor, that vendor will be looking after your data. They are going to basically they will be responsible to protect your data. So somebody else is looking after your data. Then you have cyber attacks. Since everything is over the internet, there are chances of cyber attacks if you're not going to have a good security software implemented for your cloud computing services. Then you have insider threats. Insider threats are basically your people within the organization who can leak your information or expose your client informations to the outside world. Then you have government intrusion. So government intrusion is basically any government coming and asking for informations from your vendors. It becomes very difficult since you are not looking after your data. The vendors might be obliged to show the data to the government when they intrude within the vendor's organization. And then you have legal liability. So obviously if your client's data is exposed, you end up with the legal liability where your customers can sue you for exposing their information. Now, cloud computing is completely virtualization. So now you will need to know what is virtualization. So in computing, virtualization means to create a virtual version of device or resource. Now virtualization means that whatever the resource you're going to use, they're not physically present at your location. They're physically present at some other location, and you can access it from any location around the world. That is your virtualization. So in computing, virtualization means to create a virtual version of a device or resource such as a server, storage device, network, or even an operating system, where the framework divides a resource into one or more execution environments. So by using these cloud resource services, you can basically virtualize servers, your storage, your database, your networking, everything can be virtualized. Now to work with this virtualization, you will need to have an application or a software. Now that application or software is known as a hypervisor. So a hypervisor or virtual machine monitor is a software, computer software, firmware or hardware that creates and runs virtual machines. So to run virtual services, you will need to have a hypervisor or an application that supports or helps you to run virtual machines. So a computer on which a hypervisor runs one or more virtual machines is called a host machine, and each virtual machine is called a guest machine. So the operating system on which you install the hypervisor is called the host machine, and any number of virtual machines that you run on the hypervisor is called a guest machine. Now there are various types of virtualizations that you can do. You can do a hypervisor, you can do a para virtualization, you can do a full virtualization, you can do a hardware assisted virtualization, kernel level virtualization, system level, or OS level virtualization. Other benefits is reduced capital and operating cost. So the amount of the investment that you're going to do is going to be very less when compared to your on-premise infrastructure. Minimized or eliminated downtime, increased IT productivity, efficiency, agility, and responsiveness, faster provisioning of applications and resources, greater business continuity and disaster recovery, simplified data center management. Now you have various products that are available that can help you with this virtualization. You have VMware ESX and ESXi, you have Microsoft Hyper-V, Citrix, Zen Server, VMware Workstation or Fusion or Player, and then you have the Oracle VM Virtual Box. So that's all we have in this tutorial. So hope you have understood what is cloud computing. Now this is the next video will be your AWS, your introduction to AWS, and yeah, that's all for this video. I will see you in the next video. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and thank you so much.